Booktube, my name is Elizabeth and welcome back to the I'll Read. Today I have a very exciting video for you. Well, it's not, maybe not be exciting for you, but it's exciting for me because I read 4 books this week and that is insane. I haven't read that much in a while, and I actually did the math yesterday and I posted on Twitter. I don't know if y'all saw. Follow me on Twitter. Link is down below. That in order for me to complete my Goodreads reading challenge, I literally need to read a book a day. I have to read 50 books this year left, and there's like 49 days left in the year. Can you believe it? It's ridiculous. That's insane. It's insane. It's crazy. But that doesn't sound right. Now that I'm like thinking about the number, it doesn't sound right. But regardless, I have to read 50 more books in the year, and there's less than 2 months left, and that's just crazy. Oh man. So yeah, that's the thing that happened. But I read 4 books this week, and that's a lot more than I have been doing lately. So I'm just really excited. I've been buckling down. I've been doing it. I've been reading. I have to, with all of the books you guys have been nominating for the Goodreads Award, or for the YA Booktube Awards. All the information will be down below for that as well. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started on the first book that I read this month. That would be The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee. In my October monthly wrap-up, I mentioned that I was halfway through this, and I finished it like that night, and it was absolutely lovely. I fell in love with these characters, and I cannot wait to get to The Rose and the Dagger. Like, this is such an amazing series, and Renee is just, she writes so beautifully, and her visuals, like the way that she writes scenes, it's just, I can picture them so clearly in my mind, and it's insane how amazing she writes. And I am such a sucker for beautiful descriptions and beautiful writing, and she just does an amazing job with this. And I never in a million years, if you guys don't know about this, it's about a girl who becomes the wife of a king who murders his wife every single morning. He gets a new wife, murders her, gets a new wife, murders her. And so I knew going into this book that I was going to hate the main male character. How the hell did how do I keep forgetting her name? I don't know how the heck Renee made me fall in love with him by the end of the book, but I was just like, swoon. I can't, like, it's just, there's so much more that you don't know at the beginning of the book that you know by the end, and I don't know, it's so good, and I loved this book. I'm pretty sure I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. It was fantastic. Then I read The Call by Peter O'Gulin. I don't know how to say his name. I think he's Irish, because the book is actually set in post-apocalyptic Ireland. I, in the words, can't today. Sorry, English, no, me. Anyway, I mentioned this in my November TBR, and I had no idea what this book was about in my November TBR, but it had some votes for the Young Adult Booktube Awards, and it seemed really interesting. It had a very vague description. It has like 3 minutes. You'll wake up alone in a horrible land. A horn sounds, the call has begun. 2 minutes, this today are close. They're the most beautiful and terrible people you've ever seen. They've seen you. 1 minute, Nessa will be called soon. No one thinks she has any chance to survive, but she's determined to prove them wrong. Time's up. Could you survive the call? And so I was like, yes, like the description was so good, I had to read it. And now that I've read it, I think knowing that description is just enough. Like, I promise you guys, this book was fantastic. This has been nominated in the mystery thriller category, and it's definitely a thriller. It's got some horror, creepy aspects to it, but it's not scary. I was never scared, definitely creeped out, and I was like, I don't want to be in that situation. I don't want to be called, but I guarantee you guys this is fan-freaking-tastic. It was amazing. Highly, highly recommend. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. There were some parts and pieces that I didn't enjoy about it, but basically, these teenagers are getting called, and they have to survive these enemies who are trying to kill them, basically, and they're like these horrible monster creatures. So all of the teenagers go to this school to kind of learn survival tactics, and while they're at the school, I mean, it's boys and girls, and usually when it's a school with boys and girls and young adult books, they don't talk about sex or teen pregnancy or anything like that, and this was mentioned in that book, and I really, really liked that about this book, because it's so real and it's so true that this happens, and boys and girls, they get together and they do things in a school. It's, you know, it's real life, and so I really appreciated that it was real life. It was diverse, both with sexual orientation and, you know, with race. It was racially diverse. So I really liked this book. 4 out of 5 stars. Absolutely fantastic. Highly, highly recommend. After that, I picked up The Assassin's Blade by Sarah J. Maas. This is the bind-up of novellas for the Throne of Glass series, and I'll tell you that I think it's like 4, is it 4 or 5 novellas? I don't remember. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, okay. So the first 3 novellas I didn't really like. I even posted on Twitter. I was like, "What in the heck is this, you guys? Like, what is the point? I don't understand." And yeah. So but the 4th and the 5th ones were amazing. They were so good. Like, I think it's the story and like what was happening. It was shocking and it was exciting and it was thrilling and it was so good. I mean, Sarah J. Maas is a great author. She's a great writer. I enjoy how she tells a story, but just like what the first 3 novellas was about, I just wasn't interested. I really didn't care. I really wanted backstory on Selena, like early on in her life, because I don't want to ruin Crown of Midnight, but if you guys are familiar with Crown of Midnight, like what we find out at the end, I want to find out about that, but like I want to know, and I don't know, and that's what I was hoping this would give me, and it doesn't, but it does give some background on an early love interest of Selena's from before she was, you know, competing to be the king's assassin or whatever, and I really did like that aspect of the books or the novellas. Something else that kind of threw me off is that literally this is a novel. It's a novel. Each novella happens one right after the other, and each like actions from the first novella have effects in the 4th novella, and like so it's a novel. Like I don't see this as a bunch of individual novellas kind of binded together about different people or different stories or different times. It's a novel. It goes in chronological order and they happen one right after another, and you can definitely see how events in the first novel affected the 3rd and events in the 3rd affected the 5th and so on and so forth. So I don't know. I just felt like I was reading a full-size novel, which I guess I just wasn't prepared for. But it's not bad. It wasn't a bad book. I just wasn't very keen on the first 3 novellas, which take up 50%, and then the last 2 take up the other 50%, almost exactly to the page. So I did like it. I think it did give me some good backstory on Selena and how she became who she is, but it wasn't as good as I was hoping, except for the last 2 novellas. The last 2 novellas were fantastic. I think overall, I would give this a 3.5 out of 5 stars. And then last but not least, I am reading Beast by Bree Spangler. I'm almost finished with this book, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm not going to go too much into my feelings on this one because tomorrow we have a live show for the Once Upon a Read Along talking about this book. Me and Chloe from the Brit Bibliophile, we have a book that we read together every single month, and then we do a live show on it to discuss it, and we have a lot of fun doing that. October's book of the month was this one, and I just couldn't get it in until from the library until now, and so I'm having to like speed read through it, but I am really enjoying this. It is an LGBTQIA book. There is a main character who is transgender, and I love it. Like, it's really good. Our main male and female. Our female main character is the one that's transgender, and our main male character, of course, there's a love interest there. At the beginning, he doesn't really realize that she's transgender, and but it's really good. I'm not going to give away any more than that, but I'm really enjoying it. If you are a fan of diverse books or you're trying to read more LGBTQIA, I would definitely try this one. It's very well written. Our main male character is hilarious, and I'm just really enjoying the novel overall, but definitely come back tomorrow for my thoughts on the full book and Chloe's thoughts. Tomorrow the live show is at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on my channel. Alright guys, thank you so much for coming to my weekly wrap-up. I hope that you enjoyed it. Let me know some of the books that you read this week and we can talk about them. Don't forget to like and subscribe as well, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!